Students, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss questions of ILS from Keith Williams' radio navigation book. So let's start. 61. The ILS marker identified visually by an amber lighting is what? So, amber lighting. So, remember the colors. BAW, B-A-W. So, outer marker is blue, middle marker is amber, the inner marker is white. Okay, so they are talking about amber flashing. So A. So A belongs to the middle marker. Right? So option A is the right one. 62. ILS marker beacons operate in what? Now all these marker beacons transmit on 75 megahertz, which falls in the VHF frequency band. This frequency will be differently modulated for different marker beacons. For outer marker, 400 Hz. For middle marker, 1300. For inner marker, 4000. Right? But the main carrier frequency is 75 megahertz. So, the correct answer here is VHF band, option A. Now, other than that, UHF band is glide slope. Glide slope transmitter operates in the UHF band, 328 megahertz to 335 megahertz. Low frequency, medium frequency, we have locators, NDB locators operating in this band. Okay. VHF band localizer also operates in the VHF band. Next. If the angular displacement of aircraft, okay, displacement means getting deviated left or right, with respect to the localizer center line doubles. From 1 degree now you have got deviated 2 degrees to the left or 2 degrees to the right. The difference in depth modulation will what? So it will also double. Okay, let's say that you are correctly on the center line of this runway. When you are exactly on the center line, you will receive both this modulation frequencies equally. The difference in depth modulation will be equal, will be the same. Okay, if you get deviated to the left hand side by 1 degree, let's say, the difference in depth modulation will not be 0. When you are on the center line, the difference is 0. But when you get deviated, the difference increases. It's more than 1. Okay, more than 0. So now as this deviation goes on increasing, this deviation, difference in depth modulation will also increase with it. So the relationship between this angular displacement of aircraft left or right and difference in depth modulation is a linear relationship. What does that mean? Means if angular displacements double, then the difference in depth modulation will also double. Okay, so they move along with each other in a linear relationship. So option A. Concerning the localizer principle of ILS, the difference in depth modulation. So like I said, when you are right on the center, the difference is 0. When you start deviating left or right, the difference in depth modulation also increases. So it decreases with respect to the angular deviation from the center line wrong. When you get deviated from the center line, the difference in depth modulation will increase, not decrease. It increases linearly with respect to the angular displacement from the center line right. So as you get deviated from the center line, the difference will also increase linearly. It decreases proportionally with respect to the angular displacement from the center line. No. Increases linearly with respect to the distance from the center line. Here the distance they are talking about is nautical mile, meters, kilometers. So that is wrong. Okay, the relationship is it increases linearly with respect to the angular displacement, not the ground distance. Okay, next. The ILS marker identified visually by a blue light. So blue light belongs to outer marker, right? So the correct answer is option alpha. ILS marker identified audibly, that means by ear, by a series of 2 dashes per second. So you have to remember all these identifications. Outer marker transmits 2 dashes per second. Middle marker transmits alternating dots and dashes 3 per second. The inner marker transmits 6 dots per second, just the dots. Now just the dashes are transmitted by outer marker. So option A is the right answer. The ILS marker with an oral frequency of 400 Hz. So, like I said before, all these marker beacons transmit on 75 megahertz, and this 75 megahertz will be further amplitude modulated differently for these three different marker beacons. For the outer marker, it's 400 Hz, middle marker 1000 and 300, inner marker 3000. So, 400 Hz belongs to the outer marker. Okay. Next, the ILS receiver of an aircraft flying down the exact runway center line will receive what? So you are correctly flying along the center line of the runway like this. Okay, in the overlapping region of 90 Hz and 150 Hz signals. So when you are flying right on the center line, you will receive both the 90 Hz and 150 Hz signals equally. The difference in depth modulation will be zero. Okay. So 90 Hz and 150 Hz lobes at equal depth or equal strength? Yes. No modulated signal because the left and right lobes cancel each other along the center line? No, nothing like that happens. Same frequency modulated signal from both lobes with the maximum of magnitude. Maximum magnitude of the difference? No. So option A is the correct answer. ILS receiver of aircraft on approach and flying on the glide path. Now here they are talking about glide path. So if you are correctly established on the glide path like this, again just like the localizer, over here also you will receive the same signals, both the signals equally, 90 Hz also, 150 Hz also. So the difference in depth modulation will be zero. Okay. So the modulation from both lobes at equal depth, the same modulation frequency signal from both lobes with the maximum magnitude, no modulated signal, the maximum magnitude of the difference between the two amplitudes. So the correct answer is option A, modulation from both lobes at equal depth. Okay. Last, the principle of operation of ILS is its difference in depth modulation, right? I have been using this phrase difference in depth modulation so many times. So the difference in depth modulation. Modulation of the ILS frequency by amplitude of the modulating signals. Phase comparison. Phase comparison is for VOR. Okay. Difference between the frequencies of the two tones? No. So option A is the right answer. Difference in depth modulation. So remember this principle for your SPL Viva, ATPL Viva, airline Viva. Okay. This concludes the lecture. I hope you have understood all the 10 questions I have answered in this video lecture. If you have any questions or doubts, let me know in the comment box. I request you all to share this video lecture with your friends. Hit the like button if you have liked this lecture and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. See you.